Bloody farmers protesting, hating the environment. What is it? Are farmers all bastards? Or are we seeing the beginning of the Great Reset play out in real time? And to check whether or not that's a reality or a conspiracy theory, because we can never be sure, let's check what Klaus Schwab, the inventor of the Great Reset, which is something that he says himself, said in 2020.
We have to prepare for a more angry world.
Why? Why have we got to prepare for a more angry world? What's going to happen, Klaus? Like, that's going to make the world more angry? We shouldn't be preparing for that. We should be trying to prevent it. We should be thinking about ways to share resources, empower ordinary people, coming to terms with the fact that some people identify in very progressive ways, some people identify in traditional ways, that the globalist culture is being rejected by everybody, that people are feeling disempowered, that no one trusts the agenda of these globalists, that when they say we're doing this for climate change, they don't believe them, that when they say we're doing this because we want equality between races or genders or sexualities, don't believe them, that it's all demonstrative, it's all phatic ersatz trickery to prevent ordinary people getting on with their lives and to further centralised corporate power and to make sure that the state operates essentially as the henchmen for corporate interests.
And how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action.
Necessary action could mean lockdowns. Necessary action could mean that we're going to say to the agricultural industry, you can't use these fertilizers anymore. And that might impact the livelihood of these farmers. And they're probably only using these fertilizers anyway, because it's the only effective way to turn a profit with the conditions and stipulations that are placed on their industry as a result of other regulations, probably that have come from the WEF or some other globalist funded body that controls what used to be national or even local interests. These kind of things come at a cost.
I don't have too many remedies. The remedies have to be discussed through dialogue by the stakeholders of our global system.
Yeah, who are the stakeholders of the global system? That means like corporate power, state power. These are the stakeholders. In a sense, all of this, you will own nothing and you will be happy. You're not going to eat meat anymore. You're going to eat insects. We're starting to see the consequences of it. You can watch the Great Reset video. It tells you what the plan is. You're not going to own anything. How's that going to happen? Well, we're going to own it. You're not going to be eating meat anymore. How come? Because we're shutting down all the farms. Like, I'm a vegan person, so I don't eat meat, and if it was up to me, then less people would eat meat. In fact, no people would eat meat. But guess what? It ain't up to me. It's up to you what you do with your life. Perhaps in the political space, if we chose, instead of enforcing rules, we could persuade people of our opinion and our views, and maybe people go, yeah, that's the way I want to live, or we'd come to some kind of compromise and consensus, because that's how we are evolved to live. We're not evolved to live in accordance with top-down edicts. We're communal, social animals that are supposed to create regulation among one another through consensus.
But I just see the need for such a dialogue.
I see the need for speed. This Top Gun Maverick film is doing so well. Oh, maybe I could be the new goose. I'm going to unbutton my shirt now. Now we are on a highway to the danger zone. And that's why I need you all to be locked in your house and take these necessary medicines. It's a danger zone.
And I see the need for action.
He's certainly right about one thing. There is anger coming. The way that I've seen most of these stories relayed on the mainstream media suggests that the farmers are kind of agitators that want to use really bad toxic fertilizer for a laugh, man. But actually, when you dig a little deeper into this story, you start to recognize that they're having their rights eroded, they're having their livelihood taken away, and that the agenda of the WEF, the globalists, is not even to have a more organic and ecologically responsible farming system. No, that's simply what they're saying. Their objective is what's going to happen. The farmers will be bankrupted and their land will be purchased by centralized monocultural forces. That's what will happen. You can sometimes tell what is intended by what actually happens. Forget what they're saying. Look at what's happening. What's happening? Oh, farmers are all losing their farms. Oh, who's buying up those farms and who's buying up that land? Is anyone famous who you hear about in the news buying up a lot of farmland at the moment?
Bill Gates has been snatching up 242,000 acres of farmland across the US, enough to make him the top private farmland owner in America.
What would it enable people to buy up yet more farmland? I suppose if farmers were all broke, they'd start selling their farmland. Oh, and how can we make farmers broke without seeming like we're doing the evil bidding of a Bond villain? Say that they have to change to a fertilizer that won't be cost effective and not give them an interim period to make those adjustments, not achieve a kind of consensus between the market or consumers, as we're commonly known, that we will purchase organic product over a period of time. These kind of things have to be achieved democratically, consensually, with the involvement of the farming community and the whole population. They can't be top-down edicts that come from Klaus Schwab, unless the intention, of course, is not to make the farmers ecologically sound, but to make the farmers economically broke. Often we have to make this transition from thinking we're dealing with conspiracy, because a lot of the time it sounds like a conspiracy. Oh no, there's no Great Reset happening. But Klaus Schwab talks about the Great Reset openly. When people say that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, you have to check to see if there are policies being instantiated that lead to that kind of conclusion. So what we're seeing in all of these various trucker protests, agricultural protests in Sri Lanka or the Netherlands, or in Germany, I believe there are comparable protests, is an uprising of people that are being dispossessed and disempowered because of globalist edicts. And then the media portrays those uprisings as problematic or as racist or unnecessary or ecologically unsound because their institutional biases are shared with the people that are set to gain.
The United States has appealed to Sri Lanka's politicians to act promptly to resolve their country's economic crisis.
The protests in Sri Lanka are comparable as well. The Sri Lankan farmers are responding again to globalist edicts, top-down economic policies that are being brought about in their country without any consent. These are legitimate protest movements, but to acknowledge their legitimacy means to recognise the illegitimacy of the globalist order. That can never happen. So therefore you have to disavow these kind of protests, because otherwise the momentum will start to gather. You'll start to notice, hang on a minute, the truckers, the people in Sri Lanka protesting right now, the people in the Netherlands, wait a second, we all have the same interests. What if we were to, cut it off, like, because the alternative will be to intervene against the interests of the powerful.
Burning fury for all to see.
Burning fury, those Sri Lankan bastards burning stuff down simply because they're being made poor.
The Sri Lankan Prime Minister's house set alight. Flames fueled by protesters' anger.
Anger, flames, bastards. How many more times? Why won't people just do what Klaus Schwab suggests?
At economic mismanagement that's left many suffering.
Suffering, bastards.
The president's office was also stormed.
If you're just a person that watches the news, the impression you're going to have is fucking Sri Lankans are bastards, aren't they? Why can't they leave their president alone in his office? What's the point of a president? What's the point of a presidential office? What's the point of any democratic institution? It's meant to be to service the ordinary people of that nation. Because that agenda has been abandoned and replaced with corporate interests, you know that, you don't need me to tell you, they have to portray the protesters as some sort of lunatics ransacking a palace and knocking over what looked like a very expensive ornamental elephant.
There was an impromptu pool party.
Impromptu pool party! Spring break! Come on, back to work on the farm. You ain't got a farm anymore. Carry on with the swimming then!
It's rumoured the president's taken to the high waters as his country finds itself politically and economically all at sea.
I mean, in a sense, is there an image that more beautifully sums up the problems that we face than members of the Sri Lankan population reclaiming a swimming pool?
They shouldn't be in his swimming pool. I bet one of them done a wee. They're lucky there's not that special dye in there, what shows if you've done a wee. Then the president would know for sure what person's wee it was.
It's time that we got all our stolen money back to this country. And also the air conditions are running in that presidential palace while people don't have electricity in their homes.
That's like the whole experience of ransacking. You fucking bastards! This palace is fantastic! The air conditioning, them ornamental elephants, they've got a fucking swimming pool! You told us there's no money to pay for our fucking food! So this is what's been happening in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is in a last-ditch effort to stave off economic collapse after an allegedly climate-friendly ban on artificial fertilizers. You've got to have these fertilizers. Okay then. Otherwise you won't be able to meet your targets. Oh well, we'll do what we have to do. Oh, them fertilizers, they're fucking everything up. Right, we're shutting your farm down, but you told it, wait, You bastards! Oi, don't kick our van. That's our van. That was bought with taxpayers' money. Well, isn't that our money? Shut up, you bloody racist! Ban on artificial fertilizers devastated one of the country's largest industries, according to experts. So what they do is they say, we have to ban this fertilizer. It's ecologically unsound. Now, we, on this channel, believe that we should be respectful to the earth. We believe that corporations should be taken into account. We believe in responsible energy wherever possible. But we believe in all of these things for the benefit of ordinary people, not for the benefit of centralized power, not for the benefit of corporations. And when these kind of rules are used to screw over ordinary people in Sri Lanka, the Netherlands, or the truckers, can you see how it's always safety, it's always convenience? They always come to your door with a promise. We're going to make things easier for you. We have to help the planet. We have to help the children. What's the result of all this help? Get your help off of me. A ban on chemical fertilizers implemented April 2021 in an effort to promote organic farming proved the final straw after a string of missteps. Even here it's saying in an effort to promote organic farming. Now, even if, like me, you're sympathetic to the idea of organic farming and even think that organic farming would be a step in the right direction, you have to recognize that organic farming is not the desired endpoint. The displacement of the people is the desired endpoint. The disempowerment of the farmers, the bankruptcy of the farmers is the desired endpoint. That's what's happened. Oh no, we were just trying to create some organic farms. Look what's happened. We've fucked up the livelihood of all these ordinary people. It's not a mistake. They're trying to fuck up ordinary people. When I spoke to Vandana Shiva the other day, she explained that there's a philosophical idea underneath it that's even more dastardly. The idea that nature itself is a problem, that our connection to nature is a problem, that we need to become entirely rationalized, entirely mechanized. And if the consequences of that is like Sri Lankan farmers are screwed, Dutch farmers are screwed, Canadian truckers are screwed, German farmers are screwed, then that don't matter. That's part of the desired result. It's not a side effect, it's the intention. Think how often regulatory action negatively impacts ordinary people and benefits already powerful elites. Look at what happened in the last 2 years. The richest people in the world got richer, the richest institutions in the world got richer. There was the biggest wealth transfer in history. Oh, what a weird coincidence. Ordinary people really suffered. Health services suffered. Ordinary folk experienced suffering on an unprecedented scale. But some weird, unexpected side effect that was really beneficial for big pharma and big tech. Oh, well, never mind. Try not to observe a connection between those two things. I'm not saying that the pandemic was a plandemic or it was imposed or it's not true or coronavirus isn't a thing. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm not interested in crazy conspiracy theories or even unsubstantiated and potentially true ideas, because what is demonstrable, what's there in black and white, is sufficient to show that there is a globalist agenda. It doesn't need to be thought about or talked about in shady terms. You can see Klaus Schwab saying it for himself.
Why can't you Sri Lankan farmers be a little more like ExxonMobil? It's been weeks now since they've done an oil spill, but look at you with that stinky fertilizer. What's that made of? Cow's poops? You're putting me on the highway to the danger zone.
I just see the need for such a dialogue.
I see the need for speed. Shall I take my top off again?
Please, Klaus, leave it on.
And I see the need for action.
But anyway, perhaps we are conspiracy theories. Maybe there is no intention to do a great reset. It's probably something that's been made up by some nutter in a tinfoil hat in their bedroom who still lives with their mum. Let's see what Klaus says.
I see the need for a great reset.
Well, there you have it. Whether it's a conspiracy theory or a stark reality, it seems that what we have is a global response to a globalist agenda that's been explicitly stated by the WEF. All these farmers' protests are happening for a reason. The reason is that the agricultural industry is being unduly pressured under the auspices of ecological advancement, when in fact economic displacement is the real agenda. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below and sign up to our mailing list so we can tell you about all the future changes we're making. That's why the set looks different. We're doing things differently now. That's why I'm getting more confident about our agenda, more assertive about free speech, more faithful that we can create collaborations between different communities that bring about more community, more democracy, more power for ordinary people, and start to attack these centralized institutions in the manner in which they ought be. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one. Have a look at either of these. Please sign up to that mailing list if you have time, but more important than any of that, except for perhaps that thing I said about a global revolution, stay free.